You're being lied to about Mexico again. And this time the lie is wrapped in burning buses and airport B-roll. Yes, when El Mencho was taken out, parts of Jalisco lit up. There were blockades, burned cars, highways shut down, soldiers killed for about a day. Places like Puerto Vallarta felt like a war zone, and tourists were told to shelter in place. But the key details keep getting stripped out for clicks and politics. First, the violence was targeted. Cartel versus the state. They were going after authorities, infrastructure, and showing muscle, not hunting random tourists on the Malecon. That's the boardwalk. In a lot of those viral clips of burned cars, people had already been pulled out before the vehicles were torched. It's terror theater, but it's not the same as they're attacking everyone. And second, this was a spike, not a new permanent reality. Within roughly 24 hours, roadblocks were cleared, flights resumed, and tourist corridors went back to business. That doesn't mean Mexico is safe in some fantasy sense. It means resort Mexico and cartel strong old Mexico are still coexisting the way they have for decades. Now look at how a lot of conservative influencers and big US outlets are framing it. Mexico's collapsing. Americans trapped. Don't ever go there again. They blur a short-term security operation into a full-on failed state narrative. They don't distinguish between violence aimed at the state and violence aimed at civilians. They rarely even mention that some of the worst affected towns have been cartel territory for decades, long before this operation. And that's where the US agenda comes in. Washington has every incentive to paint Mexico as dangerously unstable, to justify tougher measures on the border, to blame fentanyl deaths on an external enemy instead of the demand, to normalize the idea of doing something inside Mexico's territory. If you make people believe Mexico is chaos, expanding military cooperation, or even flirting with intervention suddenly sounds responsible instead of extreme. So, I'm not here to tell you Mexico's 100% fine. I'm here to tell you the story you're being sold is edited. The reality is complicated. A state that can hit a major cartel boss, a criminal landscape that's been violent for decades, tourist zones that bounce back fast, and a neighbor to the north that has a long history of exaggerating Latin American crises right before it decides to get more involved.